Hello YouTube, welcome back to another Fantasy Football Scout video with me, Lee, and this is Sam from FPL Family. Now Sam, we're about to get into Game Week 11, Game Week 10 in the rear view mirror. How was it for you? Reasonable?
Yeah, fine.
Pretty good. Another green arrow for you this week, wasn't it, in Game Week 10?
Yeah, I've gone up 1.1 million places in the last 4 game weeks.
Oof. Key to your success? Any key players in there? Captain in Bruno has helped.
Captain in Bruno has helped, yeah, but actually, my captain's picks this season have been pretty much
Touch wood, spot on.
They've been in the right ballpark anyway, which for me is normally, it's normally my weakness. I normally don't get my captaincy right, but this season,
it's going all right. Well, I'm absolutely still seething from Max Kilman coming on for that 1-pointer and blocking that jammy Dallas 8-pointer sitting on my third bench, which was tragic, to be honest with you, but it's the story of my season so far. Game Week 11 coming up. We will do our usual in these points predictions videos. We'll have 3 players each, a defender, a midfielder and a forward. Can't have more than one player from the same team.
Correct.
And we'll be picking, in your case, the over 10% owned players, and in my case, the under 10% differentials. Give us a view as to how Game Week 10 went, and as usual, I desperately need a point.
So yes, you do desperately need a point. It was 7-2 to me going into this week, because obviously we've had a draw already so far this season. Last week you had the premium picks, I had the differentials, and if you recall, I went like uber out there differential last week. I kind of went really rogue, just because we had some people returning from injuries. But let's start with you guys and the premiums. You had Robertson at the back, who of course lost his clean sheet right at the death of that Liverpool game with the penalty, so just the 2 points for him.
Had an assist ruled out for VAR with Mane as well, so it's what could have been with Robert. He was on top bonus as well.
All right.
Were it not for that penalty. He's in my FPL team. There's another.
It's all about hope.
It's another tale of woe I've got from the weekend.
Hopes and dreams going on there. Hopes and dreams.
He's a hold though, I think. He's a hold. Wolves and then Fulham next. Got to hold him, I think.
You heard it here first.
Go on then, 2 points for Robbo.
2 points for Robbo. 10 points, second double-digit hold of the season for Kevin.
Yes,
Kevin De Bruyne back with a bang. Kind of expected that, didn't we, really? And I think I remember saying...
What is it about Burnley at the Etihad? They just go there and expect to lose 5-0.
I also think that when you're going into it without your keeper, who is arguably, well, not even arguably, who is their best player...
Chris Whitters, hello?
He can keep saying hello. Nick Pope is definitely Burnley's best player. And then you also went for a bit of a Vardy party, which sort of ish.
Yeah, just nicked an assist off of that, didn't I? Yeah, I'll take it.
Didn't really deserve any more than that either.
No, it's interesting to know from you Vardy captainers. Get in the comments, let us know how you felt about that. Wasn't assist enough?
To be honest, as a Vardy non-owner in FPL, I was quite happy with just an assist in that game.
Yeah, I think having watched the game, the owners will be happy with the assist. So everyone's happy. Non-owners, owners, everyone's happy with that Vardy assist.
And you're happy with your 17 points.
17 points. Surely enough to beat your lot. Surely.
Well, so I picked Laporte.
Yeah.
Who didn't make the squad.
Yeah. Bad start.
No. Bad start. I picked James Maddison, who I didn't expect Leicester to lose to Fulham. I mean, actually thought James Maddison was all right in that game, but of course...
I thought he looked well off it. Okay.
But no returns, so just the 2 points for him. And then I picked Antonio, who I thought looked all right, but went off at half-time because obviously not,
Good to see Antonio back, but clearly not fully fit yet. I think we'll see the best of him. Well, I don't know. How long is it going to take for Antonio to get back to full fitness? I think 2 or 3 weeks.
I think, when he made those comments about I'm fit and I'm ready, I went, brilliant.
You're not match fit.
As we all did as FPL managers, I think generally speaking, we all kind of went, yes, great. A fully fit Antonio back in that West Ham team.
6.2 in FPL. Worth a look when he's fit, isn't he?
Absolutely. And I think maybe I just went a couple of weeks too early. So maybe next time I'm on the differentials, I'll be bringing up Antonio again.
Like that.
So just the 3 points for me this week. Pretty poor. So you can take that as a victory. 7-3. I mean, you are still getting absolutely smashed, but I will give you this point this week, and we'll see whether you can brace it.
The beginning of that, you were just like, oh yeah, and I did go uber differential. I was going really out there. You got your excuses in early. Get out of here. 7-3. Yes, come on, Team Lee. Right, let's crack on with Game Week 11.
Let's see how differential you go then,
Let's see how differential I go this week. Not very is the answer to that. Although my defender is interesting in just a second. But you've gone for the 23.6% owned James Justin. 4.9 million from Leicester.
Yes. Now, in part, this is... it's one of two things. I got bitten last week with my defender not playing. This guy's played every single minute of every single game. So from a security point of view, with the other Leicester defenders still not back and available yet, he's guaranteed start time against a Sheffield United side who have only scored, they've only scored twice so far this season. So the clean sheet, you would think, will be absolutely there for James Justin, and therefore we'd be looking at least a 6-pointer. There's also attacking potential with him. So his XG, I mean, it's not hugely great. It's not.
Hold on, are you talking about XG?
I
am,
yeah.
Sam from FPL Family talking about XG.
Yeah, I am.
Here we go. Go on then.
Because I looked it up because I was kind of intrigued by. I wanted to pick a defender who had the potential to get a clean sheet.
Yeah.
And against Sheffield United, there's always the potential for a clean sheet. But I also wanted to pick a defender that had a bit of upside too. And I think, so I kind of went, well, how am I going to differentiate this? So I looked at the XG for him and thought, 0.5, it's not bad for a defender. That's all right.
Sure.
Let's have a look across the other defenders. Now, obviously Robertson is like double, but I can't have him because of his own, well, I can, but I wasn't convinced that I wanted him this week after last week's Liverpool performance.
Fair enough.
So, but I thought this clean sheet was more likely than I felt Liverpool's was. But if you look at him in comparison to the Man City defenders, the Spurs defenders, the Arsenal defenders, the Everton defenders, his XG is a lot better now.
Okay.
He's also near on par with Trent for the season. Now, obviously, Trent is out at the moment, but I think he's a decent option for both some attacking threat and a clean sheet, and therefore potential bonus points as well.
Okay, all right. Well, I like the pick. I totally agree with you from a he's playing Sheffield United, 2 goals all season. They are really bad. I did look at some of the underlying stats for Sheffield United and thought, just how bad are they? Are they just not creating chances? Are they not finishing them? What's going wrong up there? And do you know what? It's not like they're not getting some chance. They're not getting a lot. Don't get me wrong. They're not top of the league for big chances created or anything like that. They are pretty down there, but they're not rock bottom. So there is the potential for them to get a goal, but they are just not clinical, and they're just. Sorry, Blades fans, they're just not good enough up there. They're just not good enough. McGoldrick's not good enough. I know he got the goal against Chelsea a few weeks back in that consolation. Brewster's come in. He's not really doing the business. McBurney, bang average, I'm afraid. So yeah, Blades fans, let us know in the comments. If you're in, what is it going to take for Sheffield United to get out of trouble this season? It's going to need some goals, and Brewster isn't the one, I'm afraid. He's not the one. My differential pick is the 8.0% owned Mendy, or should I say Mondi? How do you pronounce this guy's name?
It's
Mondi. No, I think it's Mondi.
What?
Actually, I think it is. You guys can tell us in the comments. But anyway, I absolutely want to go for Chelsea defence right now. I've got Chilwell. I'm thinking of the double up with Reece James or potentially Kurt Zuma, because Chelsea defensively are very, very good indeed. Almost 5 clean sheets in a row, except for that goal actually just mentioned with McGoldrick. That was that consolation from a few weeks back. But outside of that, clean sheet after clean sheet. Now, because he's under 10% owned, I'm going to own him. It is, of course, a risk, because not a lot of upside with a goalkeeper. It's either a 6 or a 0. So I know what you're thinking. Why are you picking a goalkeeper, Lee? And not only that, he's playing against Leeds United. Leeds United, who create a lot of chances. Bamford, who actually misses a lot of chances as well as taking a lot of chances. You're talking about XG before. Bamford is absolutely right up there. But I think Chelsea are good enough to restrict Leeds to those long shots. So Mondi could get a few save points as well. And if you talk about a clean sheet, save points, therefore maybe a bonus point or 2 as well, we could be talking about 8 or 9 points here from Mendy this weekend. Am I clutching at straws? Have I had a nightmare picking a goalkeeper here?
Well, I think you've cheated, because we've got
Right,
defender, midfielder, forward are the rules of the game.
A defensive player.
Defender, midfielder,
forward. Are you worried about him then? You worried about him?
No, I'm not.
Right.
Look, I think Leeds have only failed to score twice across the whole season so
True
far.
enough. Yeah, true enough.
I don't see them not scoring in this game. I really don't. I think away from home, Leeds are also better than they are at Ellen Road. So I can see there being some attacking returns for Bamford and the likes.
Listen, a risky pick, but I'm going to go with it. A risky pick. 5.2 million, by the way, in FPL. So not that expensive either for a defence that's keeping clean sheet after clean sheet. Now, listen, I'm not advocating the goalkeeper Mendy here as an alternative to either Chilwell or James. But if you've got Chilwell and or James, I wouldn't advocate the triple up on anything, frankly, in 2020, the year that this has been in terms of goals and defences and VAR. So I don't want to triple up anyway. But if you are considering the double up, maybe there's a super cheap double up there with the goalkeeper and with Reece James, which a lot of FPL managers
Quick
will
apology
like,
to
I think.
Sheffield United. They've scored 4 goals this season, not 2.
4 goals for Sheffield United. They're prolific. Way more.
But they have only scored one of those in the last 4 game weeks. So, I still think the point the point is still there. But I will apologise for Sheffield United fans out there. Before you all go mad, you have scored 4 goals.
4 whole goals for Sheffield United.
4 whole goals.
Still, I'm afraid,
likely to keep a clean sheet.
Going down, yes. I suggest.
Oh,
no, I think they are. Over 10% owned Kevin De Bruyne, 20.2%. Percent by the way on that graphic. 11.7 million for Kevin De Bruyne, an obvious pick this week, right?
I think so. I mean, there's always the chance of the pep roulette, but not really with KDB. I think of all of the City players that you can go for, he is the most assured of game time. And I think right now, we saw in game week 10 against Burnley that he was, Mahrez was absolutely fantastic in that game. There is no denying that. But it's Kevin that pulls all the strings in that game. He is firmly in control of everything that's going on the pitch. And
he actually should have more FPL points than he's got right now.
Absolutely.
Every time I watch him, he's getting a couple of assists and a goal, and you think, okay, that's standard Kevin fodder, do you know what I mean? But you actually watch the guy and he's hitting posts, his teammates are actually not finishing his chances, which is a bigger concern if you own him in FPL, because he is still being, I think, as creative.
Yes.
But they're just not scoring as many goals. Their threat and their XG, not that good this year, Man City.
Yeah, I mean, and it's difficult to know, isn't it, with Man City, what kind of Man City you're going to get at the moment, because we saw the Man City of old against Burnley just attack at every moment. Lots of shots on target, as you say, could have scored a lot more than they did in that game, but they do just seem to like to beat Burnley by 5. That seems to be the thing that they like to do. But yeah, for me, I think of all the Man City players, he's the one that I would trust to get starts. He's the one that I would, trust to do the job, I guess, and to make some returns. And I think against that Fulham side, there should be some returns there. Now, Fulham have become known as the whipping boys of the Premier League by a lot of FPL content creators. Are they, though, when you look at the stats? Because yes, they've lost a lot of games, but they haven't lost a lot of games by an excessive amount of goals. So obviously they beat Leicester last game week. Prior to that, it was 3-2 against Everton, so that's their highest loss. Otherwise, it was like 1-0 to West Ham, then they beat West Brom, then it was 2-1 to Palace, 1-1 at Sheffield United. They're not conceding hundreds of goals, and so will this be a really high scoring game? I don't know.
Well, when I was looking at some of the stats, some of the defensive stats for my previous picks, I was looking at Fulham, and actually when Fulham travel, they're actually marginally better.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say they're great, but they are marginally better on the road than they are at home, as demonstrated with that victory against Leicester last game week. Now, if you look at some of the stats, you go into the members area on the Fantasy Football Scout website. If you're a member, you can go check out some of the defensive KPIs in the members area on the left-hand side there. So shots conceded in away games so far this season, Fulham are like 7th or 8th in the table here, 66 shots conceded. So to put that into context, that sounds a lot, but actually Arsenal, Leicester, Leeds, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, they are all worse than Fulham on that statistic. Now listen, when you talk about shots on target, Fulham are pretty bad there. So 28 shots conceded on target in away games, which is actually joint most with Newcastle and with West Brom. So they are, when they go away from home, they restrict teams to having lots of shots on goal, but when those teams do have shots, they are on target and they are having to be more clinical. So I agree with you. If Kevin De Bruyne and his friends at Man City can be clinical and get those shots on target, there's a reasonable chance there's some goals. But Fulham, I think, defensively away from home, statistically a bit better than they are at Craven Cottage.
And I mean, I don't think this is going to be. I think a lot of us FPL managers are looking at this game thinking, it's another 5-0 to City. I'm not convinced that that's the case, but what I am convinced of is that if Manchester City get goals in this game, that man will be involved in them.
He's part of it. Okay, let's move on to James Ward-Prowse then. So talking about free kick specialists there with Kevin De Bruyne. Here's another one. We've just seen what James Ward-Prowse can do against Manchester United. 2 fantastic deliveries. Didn't deserve to be on the losing side there, James Ward-Prowse. He's right up there now, by the way. Forget all the stats, forget the XG, forget all the XA and all that sort of stuff. Just look at raw FPL points. For midfielders, you've got Son, Fernandes, Salah, Grealish, and then Ward-Prowse in there with 56. So he's more than Mane, he's more than James Rodriguez, he's more than Mahrez, he's more than Rashford, he's more than Jota in terms of points for this season. So not enough people are looking at James Ward-Prowse. 9.1% owned. I think a really nice pick.
I do too, but I think part of the reason why people aren't looking at James Ward-Prowse is because many people, like me, already have the McCarthy and Forster double up in goal, because it's like the set and forget, but you're always safe because you've got the backup if for any reason McCarthy doesn't play. And a lot of people also have, like I do, Kyle Walker-Peters, which means I'm already trebled on Southampton, which makes owning somebody like him really difficult. And of course, a lot of people keep that third Southampton spot free, ready for when Danny Ings comes back, which should only now be a couple of weeks away. But I think it does mean that James Ward-Prowse is criminally overlooked right now as an FPL asset, because, all right, against Manchester United, he was bringing home the FPL points, but every single week he passes the eye test. Every single week he's in the right places doing the right things.
Sounds like you think this is a good pick then. You're supposed to be making the case against.
I do like him. The only thing that puts me off slightly is Brighton, who I think haven't been... they've been quite defensively solid, although they've not won a lot of games so far this season. They haven't conceded a lot of goals.
And crucially, they don't concede a lot of chances from set pieces or headed attempts.
Yeah.
Actually, again, use the members area. You can go sort by headed attempts conceded, so many statistics in the members area that you can go and look at. And chances conceded from set plays, they're not the best,
no,
but they're probably in the top 4 or 5, Brighton. So they do defend well from set pieces.
Their underlying stats are actually really good defensively, although you wouldn't necessarily notice that based upon just looking at the results. But I think
he's got the quality to get through that defence, though, isn't he?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think Lamptey will attack, and that will leave some spaces. So why not?
All right, okay. James Ward-Prowse, 6.1 only, so still a nice bargain
nice
there.
And cheap.
For you FPL managers. Shock horror.
Sam picks Kane horror.
42.9%.
Bit of a risk this week. Is flagged.
Injured, right?
So last time Mourinho said that somebody was injured, what happened with Son? Played, got a double-digit haul.
Was that the Southampton game?
No, it was the game after, wasn't it? It was the Man United game. Son's not fit, and then
not quite fit. Boom, 2 goals.
Here he is.
Ah.
So I think in part, look, we don't know the ins and outs of it yet. He is flagged, so it is a risk. I could be just giving you a place here because I may have no striker. However, it is the North London derby against an Arsenal team who, in the last 4 game weeks, only West Brom have conceded more shots in the box than Arsenal. Arsenal's conceded 42 shots in the box in the last 4 game weeks. Kane, last week, there was a lot of chatter about his positioning, where he was on the field, the fact that Spurs didn't have a shot on goal in the second half. Look, that game against Chelsea was a very different strategy than this game against Arsenal will be. Harry Kane has been speaking on social media all week about how he can't wait to run back towards the fans and celebrate. This is the first game that he'll be able to run back to the fans and celebrate. There is, in my view, he has to have his foot missing before he misses this game. I think this is Mourinho mind games ahead of the derby. And I also think it's in part because Vinicius wasn't available to play or isn't available to play on Thursday night's Europa League game, and therefore he doesn't want to risk Harry if he's got a slight niggle as well. So it's easier to just rule them both out.
It feels as well that Arsenal, although I don't know, how do you feel about Arsenal? Defensively, I feel like they've improved, but I don't.
42 shots conceded.
Well, this is it. I think I just had this feeling that Arteta has put more emphasis on Arsenal defensively this season.
He has.
And that's nullified their attack, which of course we're seeing. But I don't necessarily think it's benefiting them in defence either. And if you look at the way that they're playing recently, there's something missing. There's a bit of character, a bit of leadership missing in that squad right now. Yeah. The way that they, in the previous game, remind me who they lost to.
Wolves.
To Wolves, that was right. Yeah, so in that Wolves game, so fair play to Wolves. Having happened what happened to Jimenez, they went on to win the game. And at the end of that game, Aubameyang in particular, I just for some reason decided to watch him at full time, head down, trudged off. You know, you're the captain, mate. Come on. You know, you put your arms around players. You say, no, come on, we've got to go again. We've got a London derby to go at. Whereas Spurs are coming full of the joys of spring, coming into this London derby with fans at the stadium, having rested the key players, whether they're injured or not. I think you've got a very good chance of putting a few past Arsenal at the weekend.
He has had my captain's armband on him all week.
I can see that.
Until the injury flag. So I'm going to wait for obviously team news before I actually set my official FPL team captain. If he's going to play this weekend, I think I'm going to captain him because I think the way we're playing, the crest of the wave that Spurs are on versus the wave that Arsenal are on, it could be a very, very interesting North London derby.
All right. Well, 42.9% owned versus 1.6% owned. Now, I know what we said before about Fulham defensively, away from home, they look good. But listen, it's Fulham. Come on, they concede a lot of goals. If you're going to go for an uber differential, Gabriel Jesus is the one. Now, he's got, I think, a goal and an assist in the 3 games he's played since he's come back. So, I wouldn't necessarily say he's hit the ground running, but there are returns there. And if you've got the creativity of Mahrez and Kevin De Bruyne around you, then Gabriel Jesus, I think, is worth a look at 1.6% ownership. That's what's tipped the scales in his favour for me as picking him out as a differential this week. 1.6. Notice that he came on, I think, in the 71st minute in the Champions League during the week. So he played kind of 20 minutes in the week.
But that's fine.
Which I think is fine. Yeah. And I don't think Aguero's going to be ready for this Fulham game either. So listen, Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
Uber differential.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously there's always, it's like I said about Kevin, when I was talking about Kevin, there is always a risk of Pep roulette because that's what Pep does best. But I think at the moment you could be fairly assured that Jesus, given the minutes that he had in the Champions League, and given that Aguero, with everything that happened, with the reoccurrence of his injury in some form or another, and also the loss of Maradona, who was his father-in-law, I think probably means he's not going to be available for the weekend, and therefore that makes Jesus a really nice pick.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, a little bit punty maybe, given his apparent lack of form, but 1.6% owned. If you fancy a punt, then have a look at Jesus. He could go big against Fulham. There we go, Sam. That is Game Week 11 wrapped up. Get in the comments below, guys. Let us know whether you are hashtag Team Lee or hashtag Team Sam for Game Week 11. And we will see you this time next week to run through Game Week 12 and have 6 more picks for you to look at for Game Week 12. Leave us a like before you go. Hit subscribe if you're new around here. And we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Bye, guys.